Like, there's no fucking secret to what I did. Like, there's literally no secret. I worked as hard as I could and saved as much money as I could until the right opportunity came up. That was it. Literally, that's it. Done. Book over. Okay. On today's podcast, we are going to discuss what happened with you and a discussion that you had with someone that will remain unnamed.
Yes. So essentially, I had a conversation over the weekend where now the context of the conversation was we were talking about, hey, Clark, what are you doing these days? And I was telling them a little about the work that I do for the various companies and especially the work with Coachwood Capital, right? And the investment properties and granting access to Canadians for American real estate investments. And there was one simple comment in reply to when I was explaining what we do here, which was, oh, that's great. And this is why the rich always get richer. And that comment kind of put me off the wrong way because I was thinking, okay, we're able to do this not because the rich get richer, but there's a few fundamental things that I believe in, regardless of just how much money you have or how much money your company has, that I think is fundamentally just like unrelated to the rich getting richer. So have you ever come across this comment from people? And if so, what is your response to it?
All the time.
Yeah. So and where do you hear it?
So I hear it a lot on, not hear it, but I get a lot of comments like that on Instagram. Like people will just troll me and shoot me DMs with stupid shit like that. But it's funny because this comment, along with the other comment with, oh, it's got to be a scam. You know, I read something not too long ago. I don't even remember where it was, but I read something where it was something along the lines of I don't want to say poor, but let's use that word for lack of a better word. The poor will always think it's a scam, and the rich will always look at something as an opportunity. So,
and likely ask you questions about it, challenge it, question it.
Yeah, I can't. I'm trying to figure out where the hell I remember where this came from, but it wasn't poor and rich. It wasn't that. It was something about something about like a mindset type thing. It was something about being closed-minded and being open-minded. So it was something along those lines. It wasn't rich and poor. It wasn't that. So we can even call it, you know, closed-minded people will think that certain opportunities are always a scam. And then open-minded people will look at it as obviously opportunities. And this is the same thing. This is no different because they're looking at themselves like they just don't have access to that. But fact of the fucking matter is, I was in arguably even a worse position than they are currently when I even first started. So I didn't come from anything. I didn't come from wealthy family, or I didn't come from, somebody giving me money to get started. I didn't come from any of that. So I started with whatever I had and built everything. So for them to say that, all that tells me is that they'll just never, unless they change their mindset and their way of thinking, they will never accomplish what they want to accomplish in life, because they will always bring that mindset to the table in anything that they do. And they'll always be stuck in this fucked up circle that as soon as they think something, they just think they can't do it because they don't have access to this, and they can't make this happen because of this and this and that and this and that, or they don't have enough money. I didn't have any money when I started. All I did was I saved all my money until I had money to start something. And that was it. Like, there's no fucking secret to what I did. Like, there's literally no secret. I worked as hard as I could and saved as much money as I could until the right opportunity came up. That was it. Literally, that's it. Done. Book over. Like, literally, I don't know. So these type of comments, I think, are fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
I think they're hilarious.
And that it all boils down to a mentality thing.
100%. And you know what, too? We need people like that in the world because it makes way for people like us. And that's it. It's a sad reality. But fact of the matter is, if everybody thought the way that we thought, there'd be way more competition. So move the fuck over if you want to have that mentality, and make way for people that don't and want opportunity in their life. Because if you're going to continuously have that opportunity, you're not going to get anything done. or if you're going to continuously have that kind of mindset, you're not going to get anything done in this life. Nothing. You're always going to continuously think that, like, what a fucked up saying that is. Like, the rich always get richer. Yeah, because the rich make smarter decisions and they take the risk. That's it. That's why.
And what's interesting is a lot of the, like if we tie it back to Coachwood Capital, a lot of the principles that we're following at the scale of Coachwood Capital, the exact same principles could be applied to if you're buying your first rental property.
100%.
Right? So for example, looking for a great deal, right? Looking for location, looking for the ratios, doing your due diligence, right? All of those things can apply to your very first deal. If you're thinking about what we're trying to do in Coachwood Capital is make something that's very, very, very difficult for the average person, which is Canadians investing into multifamily, American multifamily real estate. We're trying to take something that's very difficult and make it so easy for people. If you apply that same logic to literally anything, you don't have to be rich. Just take anything in the world and just try to take something that's difficult and work to make that easier for people. I guarantee that's an opportunity right there.
I only start businesses that have massive barriers. That's all I'm interested in. It reduces the amount of competition because I am the type of person that will try to knock down every single wall that is in front of me until I get to the result. And not everybody's willing to do that. So I try to start businesses that have a lot of walls and barriers up in front of me to get to the end point.
And I think a lot of people look at this richness as a starting point, right? That, well, you are starting rich and that's why you're able to have these opportunities. That's why you're able to live the life that you're able to live. But rather, this is a result of having certain mentality and actions over a long period of time, right? Like, for example, the opportunity with Coachwood Capital did not happen right when you first started your career. Arguably, it's 10 to 15 years in the making of trying to get to this point of all these things building up, right?
Yeah, I think it's hilarious. Like, really? Like, they're acting like I just started or whatever they probably think. They probably just, again, here we go again with the tip of the iceberg bullshit. The same stuff. That's exactly what this is. They just see the result. They don't see the previous 12 years getting to this point. They don't see that.
Right.
That's the reality of it. How many times have you ever seen those memes on Instagram where it's, the iceberg meme all the time?
All the time.
Right?
Yeah.
This is exactly what we're dealing with here.
And so anyone that's listening that might think, okay, well, I want to try to take the same principles that are applied to build Coachwood Capital and I want to try to apply it to myself. Let's say, for example, on a smaller scale, I'd say, in addition to looking for the opportunity of making something that's extremely difficult for people very, very easy. So for a lot of people listening, they might think, okay, well, how does this apply to me? Maybe if I'm at the early stages of my investing career. One thing that I found was very interesting was that when you're looking for a lot of these properties and scoping them out, you jump into a lot of these deals not knowing how they're going to work out yet, right? You say, I don't know how this is going to work out, but I'll figure it out. And I think that's a key point for the mentality moving into a deal. Literally, even if it's your very first deal, rather than being like, oh, I have to figure out all the details and compare every single property against one another in order to try to pick the best property for me for my first deal. You're like, no, if you apply the same logic as Coachwood Capital, find a great deal, don't overthink it, jump on it, and just, you don't need to know all the details of how you're going to make it work. Just jump on the deal, get it under contract, and you'll figure it out, right? That's, I think, something that's very interesting and that we apply it, or you applied it in your career of real estate investing, whether it's from one single family home all the way up to multifamily properties that have over 100 units in Coachwood Capital, right? The same logic applies, that you'll never be able to figure out all the details to try to find a perfect investment, right? Find a great deal, do your due diligence, jump on it, and then figure it out along the way.
Yeah. So actually Scott and I touched on this about, lining up the specific types of strategies and things like that to get started and making sure all your ducks are in a row and all that stuff. And although I do recommend that to make sure that happens, the problem with a lot of people these days is they overthink shit. And when you overthink shit like this, you'll be sitting on the sidelines forever. I know plenty of people that have literally from day one, when I started real estate investing, or my real estate business, I don't like to call it real estate investing. When I started my real estate business, from day one, they were going to do it too. And they had either just, number one, recently bought their own property now, or they still haven't. Mm. It's like 12, 13 years later. And I'm like hundreds of units deep. So if they would have started the same point as me and just taken that risk, they would have been, maybe not as far or further. It's hard to say, obviously. But fact of the matter is, going back to the original statement that person made, fact of the matter is, I took the fucking risk when everybody told me not to do it. Like literally there was not one person that told me, yeah, I think this is a good idea. Everybody said, no, don't do it. Windsor's in the shit. It'll never come back. Windsor's a goner, like all that stuff. You're going to lose all your money, like all that stuff. I did it anyways. I thought, okay, well, you know what? Windsor's it can't get much worse. And even if it does get much worse, what's it going to go from? It's going to go to 40 to what, 20? I just didn't think it was going to go that low. It was insane, right? It was already so low. So I took the risk, an absolute crazy risk. Lo and behold, it took like, I don't know what, 7 years to pay off, but it did. So for someone to say that is totally ridiculous because, yeah, fact of the matter is I took the risk. I put out the money. I made the right decisions from when I started, and now it's paying off. It's not that I continually, and let's be honest, like rich is very subjective. Yeah. The term rich. Now, for her to say the rich keeps getting richer, no, it's smart people make smart decisions and they continue to make good decisions. And that's it. Right. That's what she really means. So start making good fucking decisions and maybe you'll be in that position someday. You know what I mean? That's it.